Dr. Arun Gupta, co-author of the Lancet study and former member of the Prime Minister's Council on India's Nutrition Challenges and convener Nutrition Advocacy for Public Interest. Also joining me, Kumaar Bagrodia, founder and lead neuroscientist at Neuroleap. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Now, Dr. Gupta, let me come to you first. India's UPF sales have grown. Are we sleepwalking into a nutrition crisis?
Absolutely, yes. I think you've said it all in your opening comments about what are these foods, so I don't get into that because it's a kind of I call it a ticking time bomb of obesity. Like during the same period when the ultra-processed food have grown, market has grown by 150% in India. The same period, the obesity rate has doubled in India, which is very, very alarming for us. And we have 1 in 4 individual adults, men and women, having diabetes by the national studies done in 2021. So this is where I think we are really heading towards a unprecedented non-communicable disease epidemic, so to say, which will increase the number of heart diseases, as depression, hypertension, and even all-cause mortality. When Lancet authors did this whole meta-analysis, we found that there is a significant risk, and there's significant risk in some of the trials also, that if the dietary pattern changes, it actually, one has to remember these 3 Ds. It actually displaces your real food and then degrades your dietary quality and then leads to disease. So that's why I think, yes, we are slipping into unless we check on them.
Right, absolutely. So the 3 Ds there, I will talk about ultra-processed foods further with you. Let's just also bring in Mr. Kumaar Bagrodia, neuroscientist, founder of Healthy Aging Longevity Enhancement. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on The Breakfast Club. You have written extensively on microplastics and how they are entering our bloodstreams, affecting our brains as well. Mr. Bagrodia, I want to begin by asking you what are some of the main findings and what is something that you would like for our viewers to know about this crisis, this silent crisis that up until now perhaps we didn't really focus on as much?
Thank you for inviting me and highlighting this important issue, Hem. Whilst we rightly so focus on the kind of foods, whether ultra-processed, whether whole foods, whether organic, that we're eating, let's also understand that those are ultimately biological substances. However bad for health, they can be processed easily by the body. And the body has a mechanism to excrete and recover from them. Imagine taking in substances which your body is not meant to intake, which is plastics. So every liter of water that you consume from a plastic bottle is releasing 250,000 microplastic pieces into your body. If you're consuming 2 to 3 liters of water in a day, whether it's from a large plastic jug or a bottle or a plastic water filter where it's been stored for a few days or an hour or 2, imagine the number of microplastics you're ingesting. Now, some of these again are processed by the body, it moves out through excretion, but there is still a huge component which remains. And now there are studies across the world where microplastics have been found in abundant quantities in the brain, in the arteries, in your kidneys, in your liver, in your gut, and you'll be shocked, moving around in your bloodstream. All of us, urban individuals, on an average, can expect to have a size of a grain of rice, that amount of microplastics circulating in our blood at any point in time. Almost 0.5% of our brain is made up of plastic by volume and weight. For Alzheimer's patients, they are finding that almost 2.5% of their brains are made up of plastic now. So it is a crisis, and more so for children, pregnant women, lactating mothers. Plastic is finding its way in the placenta, And think about children, their cells, their brain, everything is still in the formative years, and we are subjecting them to huge dosages of microplastics throughout the day, throughout these formative years.
Right, absolutely. Now, Dr. Gupta, let me just bring you into this conversation as well. How closely linked do you think these two are? Because when we are talking about ultra-processed foods also, let's say a packet of instant noodles, that's also coming in packaged in plastic. That is one threat. And then the substance within the plastic wrapper itself. So really, what's the way out of this? Because these are so easily available, these are convenient, these are cheap. Sometimes people are so busy, they just don't have the time. It may seem harmless. And that's pretty much where the conversation comes back to, that we're sleepwalking into our way into a nutritional crisis.
I couldn't agree more with. The problems are multifold, no doubt, and there is a risk that almost every ultra-processed food product, so I don't call them foods now, they are products of industrial origin, they come in plastics, most of them. So whether it's a drink or a solid food product, they come in plastics, and it's a huge danger, and a lot of research is going on globally on the not only on this also, as well as the degradation of the environment also by the same plastic which we are dealing with. So we may not be able to stop manufacturing, but I think the areas of control of consumption are the ones which we need to look into. How do we actually reduce the consumption? Currently, we are moving very rapidly towards achieving what UK and United States have gone beyond. 50% of their dietary pattern is ultra processed. Now that's India is not that high at the moment, but it's rapidly growing towards that. So we have a chance. The authors also very collectively thought about it, that countries who are on a low consumption or beginning to consume have a much brighter chance to actually control it than the countries who have gone beyond 50% or 35% or so. So India stands at an opportunity for us to actually take a quick call on this issue.
Absolutely. Mr. Bagrodia, I want to come back to you on the issue of microplastics as well. Of course, you are an expert on this subject. How are these microplastics entering the bloodstream, even crossing into the human brain? That is something, if you could just spell it out for our viewers, so more clarity, and for them to really understand what sort of an effect these packaged foods can have on us. And we're not even realizing this. And of course, I'm given to understand that you are very passionate about this as well, and you really want our viewers to know what they can do to further mobilize against this.
Right. Most of the plastic that's entering our body is ingested orally, usually from food, bottled water, and sometimes, through air pollution as well. When you're drinking water from plastic bottles, when you're heating food in a plastic container, or when you get a food delivery which is in a plastic container and hot food was placed on it, those are some of the instances where the food enters your body and it's laced with microplastics. What happens is that your gut lining actually starts leaking via a paracellular system, or it is being carried inside your body via the immune cells. And then through the bloodstream, it can actually, go through the blood-brain barrier. It starts going into various organs, where some of the organs are working hard to sort of pass this out. So again, the kidneys, liver, but obviously there is some residue left behind. In addition to the microplastics, what's also happening is the chemicals. Now, those are directly impacting your hormone system. Those are impacting your neurological system. So the plastic pieces as well as the chemicals, both together, are a deadly combination which are disrupting several processes in our body, because our bodies were never meant to be able to clear these out all the time, every single day. One of the initiatives, Haim, that I am proposing is that we really start a movement of making children, parents, mothers aware about the risks of using plastic containers, plastic tiffin boxes, plastic bottles. This is a zero cost, a zero effort initiative where we just have to be aware of reducing the intake of plastic. So perhaps a hashtag campaign around plastic nahi, health sahi, or say no to plastic, yes to health. And thank you if your channel can get this message out to millions of people across the world and in India who can just be aware and stop ingesting plastic.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Gupta, let me just come to you on that as well. There was some mention of putting labels on these ultra processed foods. How far do you think these can go to actually inform the consumers of the effects of the ultra processed foods that we are ingesting? Should India put warning labels, restrictions, the same way perhaps that we do for tobacco, other harmful substances?
Yeah, that's a very important point you have raised. Is the beginning of reducing the consumption of such products, it begins with some kind of alert and warning to the people. So globally, we have found the evidence supports a warning label, such as the product on the front of the label, which is now covered with healthy kind of claims, should show that the product is high in sugar, high in salt, or high in fats or energy. And also we are recommending that indication of UPF markers such as colors, flavors and emulsifiers and all that. So that actually indicates to people that it could be harmful to their body, short or long term. We are saying that is going to be helpful. Secondly, the point urgency lies in that this is more than 12 years now India is working on this policy. So I urge the government of India to move quickly towards this. This is very, very important policy that warning label is put right on the front of the packet. And in addition, actually, to further reduce the consumption, I would put it as a first before the warning label even, because you decide what you said earlier, you decide to buy when you have a emotionally bound advertisement, run by celebrities. And then you have offers like buy one, get one free, full page of newspapers, TV and social media, and all that is full of such products. So companies spend huge amount, billions on the advertisement. These products are not made for your health or even for your food. They are empty calories sometimes. They are only made to increase the profits of these companies. So that is the objective of any manufacturer. They want to make money for their shareholders. So we need to stop that advertising. When we fix a benchmark on the level of sugar or salt or fat, and then stop advertisement of products which are beyond that. That might force them to turn to only minimally processed foods. So companies can make money. We are not against companies making money. It's not a point. You must understand that. So all processing is not bad. I want to clarify that also. For example, you can buy yogurt in the market, which is simple yogurt, milk, curdled, fermented. It is also processed, right? But it doesn't contain any color or emulsifier. The moment you buy a flavored yogurt, it has sugar, it has color, it has emulsifier, and it's attractive, advertised. So that is ultra processed. So what I am suggesting is the companies should divert their attention towards processed foods, which are minimally processed, and whole foods are available in the processing. So for example, you can buy fruits which are canned, which are preserved. You can still increase their shelf life, but not necessarily getting into the years of shelf life by plastic wraps and industrially manufacturing them. Slowly, I urge the government should make policies towards production, marketing and consumption of these products in such a way that slowly the populations are protected for their health.
Right. Absolutely. Now, of course, that's very important to mention as well. And thank you so much for bringing that up, sir, that not all processed foods are the same. Mr. Bagrodia, also coming back to you on the issue of microplastics, I just want to understand what kind of neurological changes perhaps have been witnessed in studies when microplastics do disrupt the neuron signaling, and what does that really mean for our viewers?
So I must clarify that there are several studies which are looking at animal models, which are looking at cells individually, not necessarily looking at living humans. But there is evidence that there is oxidative stress, neuroinflammation. Plastics can activate the immune response in the brain through the microglia. And it can release an inflammatory signal that will interfere with your regular neuronal function. Also, what we see is that plastics disrupt the mitochondrial or the energy in the body and in the brain. So basically, it can impair the cellular energy pathways, making the neuron's ability to fire and recover slower and impaired. And the third and most important one is that there are changes in the synaptic and signaling ability. So in lab studies, they have reported that the neurotransmitter levels get altered and proteins, synaptic proteins get disrupted, and they alter the exposure to the neuron's ability to sort of signal any kind of emotional, cognitive, behavioral patterns. So all of these can be degraded.
All right. Now, Dr. Gupta, coming back to the point that you were making earlier as well, talking about how all processed foods are not the same. From where we stand, as of now, it appears as though the responsibility to discern whether this particular processed food is good for me, this is okay, this is absolutely a no-no, is really on the consumer. A lot of the labels that we see, we may not understand half the ingredient list, right? So, for people to break it down for them, what are some actionable steps that can be taken today? What are some things that are complete no-nos when we're looking at packaged foods and their ingredient lists? And how do people discern whether the labels that have been put, we see organic labels, we see healthy labels, how do we discern that?
No, I think whatever is put on the labels actually it's trusted that it is correct information is given. For the food products, I would suggest that if just check the ingredient list, if it contains some of the additives like colors and flavors, I mean simply, and look at the terms like which we don't understand, like E420, E1217, or numbers or stabilizers or emulsifiers, or all these actually are UPF markers. So they can. Secondly, they can understand. Yesterday, somebody gifted a cake. So the first ingredient on the cake was a sugar. So when I look at the ingredient and then the nutrition information, you find 25%. So it was the first ingredient. So ingredients are also listed in the weightage form. The first ingredient is the highest weightage in the product. So if you have sugar listed 1, 2, or 3, it means you are doing a very high consumption of that product. So these are the areas which need to be, don't go by any health claims which are given, don't go by any celebrity promotions of those products which induces you to buy them. So that's an important marker. If you want to go further into, for example, go into the nutrition information on the back of the pack. At the moment, front of the pack doesn't have such information. So back of the pack have a lot of information about how much is the sugar, how much is the total fat, how much is the salt. So a simple calculation which we do, so far it's not a regulation in India that should be there. 10% of total sugar, 10% of total fat, and 1 milligram per kilocalorie of sodium. That is how they are marked.
All right.
If it is higher than that, it is harmful to the health of your body.
All right. All right, Dr. Gupta and Mr. Bagrodia. So those are some actionable steps that our viewers can take note of. Avoid plastic at all costs. Do whatever you can. Look at your labels carefully. Additives, color, complete no-no. And of course, the first thing on the ingredient list is at the highest percentage in the makeup of that product. So these are some actionable steps. Dr. Gupta and Mr. Bagrodia, thank you so much for joining me on the Breakfast Club. It's an honor to be able to speak to you both.
Thank you very much for having us. Thanks a lot.